He left me at 7 months pregnant, so I tried killing both me and my daughter. I was just going down, and the paramedics kicked the door. She survived, but that didn't stop me from trying to kill myself again.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to be here at Round Lake with you. When I think about the work we're doing, what comes to mind is intergenerational trauma and looking at the impacts of an intergenerational trauma.
Intergenerational trauma is a term used to define the effects of genocide on Indigenous people of Canada. During Canada's settlement, up to 90% of First Nations were wiped out by disease. In documented cases, smallpox-infested blankets were intentionally distributed. The survivors were forcibly put on stamp-sized reserves where their freedom was taken. They were not permitted to govern themselves, practice their culture, or hunt, fish, or trap in their usual territories. Many starved. The government forcibly took the children away to residential school or foster care. If mothers and fathers resisted, they were jailed. Children were starved, beat, tortured, raped, put in solitary confinement, assaulted, and ill-treated. With no children, mothers and fathers' lives were shattered. With no parents, the children were left without love, safety, security, teachings, and guidance. Over generations, families and communities were broken.
It's completely devastated our cultures, our social organization. It's destroyed our traditional economies, our jurisdiction over our territories, and over the social aspects of our lives, such as children and families. So it's had a very traumatic effect on Indigenous peoples.
When I think about childhood abandonment, I think about the 4 basic needs that aren't being met. Those 4 basic needs are love and nurturing, which I believe is the most important, food and shelter, teachings and guidance, and safety and protection. And when one of those is missing, it can have a huge impact on children, but when all 4, it has a horrendous impact on children.
My father wasn't in the picture, and my mother was in the residential schools, and so my mother was a very angry person and was treated very badly in her life, so she was abused and molested and stuff, and a lot of that life was carried into mine.
You didn't have a name, you had a number. Yeah, you had a number, so, and that's what you were called by. You know, First Nations people being called good-for-nothing Indians or squaws, or right? And you're separated from your brothers and your sisters or any relatives, boys' side, girls' side.
A child that was taken away to residential school, even though they can't verbalize it, they say, why did my parents send me away? What did I do wrong? Why don't they love me? Same goes for a child that's apprehended.
My parents were drinkers back then, and we didn't make contact too much, like not too much hugging and love yous or anything like that. So I pretty much grew up in a non-loving household.
Children today, a lot of our children are touch-starved. And so love and nurturing is really, really key to a child maturing into a healthy adult.
I really, truly believed I wasn't loved. I was always told I was ugly, stupid, and worthless, and that nobody wanted me and nobody loved me. So I was always looking for that love. So when the sexual abuse and stuff was happening, it was somebody paying attention to me.
And then even in residential school, all the abuses that go on. The starvation happens there. There's only certain kind of food you're allowed to eat. I never ever knew about any vegetables in residential school. All you knew were starches, and a lot of times you stole.
There was almost 12 of us in a 2-bedroom house. The blankets, the clothing, the food, we were made sure that you were first in line to get food. We had no running water, we had no heat, we had to haul water. Some days in the winter, we have to go down to the lake and chop ice so we could melt the ice for water. And that was almost every day because there were so many of us living in the house.
I wasn't raised, with many cultural teachings or ceremonies. And I believe that, if I had those things, as a young person and as a child, that things might have been very different for me.
My parents knew culture. They knew their culture. They knew how to speak their language, which was Cree, and but through the residential schools again, that they weren't allowed to speak it, so they pretty much lost it.
And my parents made a decision, thinking it was best for us kids if they never spoke our language.
When you look at the brutal colonial experience, when you look at the residential school system, even the child apprehension issues, it's all designed to eradicate, to destroy, to obliterate all sense of culture, tradition, customs of Indigenous people.
Our culture is based on connection and relationship. And trauma has really destroyed that connection.
My legs have been pried apart since I was 2, and physically and emotionally abused for many years. The abuse was very extensive, 2x4s, chains, anything my mom could get her hands on. And not only her, but her sisters or anybody else. So I assumed that that was normal.
Many trauma survivors have that feeling of hopelessness, loss of vision, loss of purpose, loss of sense of belonging. And so that drives a lot of the addiction today.
It started with drinking, it started with smoking pot and cigarettes and sniffing gas and sniffing nail polishes. And then it was after I met my husband and I had my second child, it was crack cocaine. And crack cocaine just took over everything. Even though I wanted to get out of addiction, even though I wanted a better life, I'd return to the same stuff. So if nothing changes, nothing changes.
We need to be able to really look at the issues that are going on in our community to address them, if we believe in our children.
Even though everything that was done to me, I knew there was something inside me still that was telling me, you deserve better. You can do this. You can get out of this. You can be a better person. When I found out about Round Lake and I found out that they had a recovery house, I thought, okay, I gotta go.
Round Lake Treatment Center is a CARF accredited 35-bed facility that facilitates alcohol and drug treatment programming for First Nations clients and anybody who's open to First Nations teachings and culture to promote healing and wellness in First Nations people. We have an offshoot of that of the Recovery Home, which is a 10-bed facility that is set for more additional services and supports that our clients may need after they complete an alcohol and drug program.
It's through treatment centers such as Round Lake that's picking up the pieces, so to speak, of shattered lives, lives that have suffered deep emotional trauma.
There's many of them that come here malnourished. They get fed. They learn how to walk the medicine wheel, get up in the morning, not in the afternoon. They get nourished mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. They get to do the sweats. So we cover every component of the medicine wheel because that's the pieces that are broken and separated.
I don't think clients quite often know what they're in for when they first arrive.
What we're going to invite you each to do is to come up here and to name your shame, right? So I'm Grant, and my message is, I am not good enough. And then we're going to ask you to place it on the blanket.
I'm a half-breed. I'm a bad person. I'm too white. I'm useless. I'm dumb. Who do I think I am? I'm not worth it. I'm useless. I'm a drunk. I'm nothing but a drunk.
How many of you have feelings right now, real strong feelings right now? Yeah. But you're no longer carrying it. You've shared it. It's exposed, right? And you're not alone anymore. You're not alone.
And I didn't realize I suffered trauma in my past through my childhood and through deaths in my family and just pretty much stuffing all that down without it getting out. My father, he was very authoritative, and he was more loving when he was drinking, actually, than he was when he was sober. So that's kind of a weird thing.
If we're truly going to change, we need to dig up our courage, which we all have, to look at these issues and to talk about them, to heal from them and move forward.
Got you through this week.
They come in fearful, scared, alone, not knowing, and very much in their addictive thinking and processing. And we start addressing that.
They're going to get an answer from me when they ask about the spiritual. They're going to get an answer when they ask about the emotional. They're going to get an answer, right? And I'm also a recovering addict. They're going to get an answer, how did you do it?
You have to want it on some level. You have to be open to learning and growing and healing what bothers you. If you're not open to that, you're not doing anything except for fooling yourself and others, right?
If you don't start working through them and acknowledging that as an adult, you're still experiencing those feelings from when you were a child, you're going to continue the cycle of addiction, right? You have to acknowledge those patterns. For myself, it took many, 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 many years. It took a lot of relapses before I was able to be like, oh my God, all my stuff relates to the abuse I suffered as a child.
Healing needs to be done in a safe environment. People need to be able to feel safe to tell their story and to participate in ceremonies.
They think they're just coming to quit alcohol and drugs, but it's more than that. It's about healing, it's about growing, it's about stretching, it's about going beyond where you've been, and finding something new.
It shows them a different way of life, like they have structure.
They bring in elders, knowledge keepers. They do ceremonies and sweat lodges. They go to meetings, AA and NA meetings. They have counselors that are First Nations and non-First Nations.
Our healing needs to be grounded in who we are as a people. So by using our ceremonies, our cultures, by looking at how we can return to living our values and beliefs as a people.
But Round Lake really helps because it introduced the culture back into my life. To fill a void that I felt, for most of my life, because I was, missing an identity. I didn't know what it meant to be a First Nations person, or, the importance of culture and the importance of ceremony in our everyday lives.
We talked about intergenerational trauma. We talked about inner child. Because this place has gave me a sense of worth, it's given me my life back. It's given me my relationship back with my children. It's given me an understanding of who I am and what I want out of life.
It started me on a path that I believe saved my life.
When we experience trauma and can heal from the trauma, we're 10 times stronger had we not experienced the trauma at all. So the recovery and the healing from trauma makes us that much stronger.
Treatment is about going somewhere to be looked after for a while so that you can understand yourself. Learn to understand yourself. Learn to understand how you make the decisions you do and your patterns of behavior and whatnot.
I now know that I'm responsible for my actions, for my thoughts, for my words, for the way I present myself.
Round Lake played a big role in me being alive today, and it started me on a path that led to, more and more healing.
The day I walked in, I never drank again. I've never drank since.
Then lo and behold, we prepare them to go home, go back into community, to go back to look at and face some of what they've left. But hopefully they're going out armed with more tools and resources and a strength and an understanding of their resiliency.
I love coming to the marbling out ceremonies we have here, to see the families witnessing the transformation, the transformative change of their loved ones.
When you get lost in your addiction, you lose your marbles. In Round Lake, we give you back one. That's where the marble ceremony started 40 years ago. They've completed their treatment and they've gotten one marble back.
I am so proud to be part of the Round Lake Treatment Center because here we're on the right path. Here at Round Lake we are picking up the pieces, we're putting people's lives back together, and it's having a real impact in our communities.
It was really difficult at the first, getting into my stuff, but I had a really good group. I have, this is my family now.
There are legions of people that care for them, that love them, that are heartbroken as a result of their struggles, and that there is help here, that there are good people here that have all walked that road, that dark road, and they're here offering help.
I ask that you watch over each and every one of us today and give us the strength that we need to carry and go forward home relations.
And we shall continue to be that beacon of hope, that oasis in the highly dysfunctional landscape we all find ourselves in this country.
I want you to see that I've made changes in my life, that I am sober today, that I am healthy today, that I love myself today, right? And I want other people to feel that too.
If all of our people did their trauma work, we'd be unstoppable as a people. Unstoppable.
I know that I can help and I can be a voice for anybody that wants to hear it by just telling my story, that I was in addiction, I got help, and today I'm sober.